sec. Okay. Almost no one's going to watch this live. So,
Sure, you're good.
Yeah. But will probably get 20 to 30,000 downloads once it within like 30 days of it hitting. So you should, I'm hopeful that you'll get a whole bunch of, a whole bunch of good stuff. All right, here we go. Going to go live on Instagram. All right, here we go. Okay, today on the show, we have Sam Caudle with Living in Tampa, brokered by EXP in Tampa, Florida. Let me tell you a little bit more about Sam. Now, in 2020, Sam moved his family across the country to Florida, where he got his real estate license and jumped in the deep end. He quickly discovered that making searchable videos on YouTube would be his ideal way to find clients. Now, Sam has 3 children and a thriving real estate business that is positioned to grow even more. Sam is now excited to help other agents achieve the exact same success that he has through YouTube, and he's created a course. And that course is the website for that course is reyoutuber.com, RE for real estate, YouTube with an R at the end, youtuber.com. We'll have a link to that in the show notes, reyoutuber.com. And also, I really encourage everyone watching to check out Sam's client-facing website, which is livingintampafl.com. And as you guessed it, it's all about, if you're moving and living in Tampa, what you need to know. So livingintampafl.com, link to that as well in the show notes, along with Sam's social channels and his YouTube channel. So we want you to subscribe to all of his stuff. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, DJ. Super excited to be here.
Super excited to talk to. I think you're the very first person we've ever had on. Oh boy, I hope I'm not wrong. From Tampa, and I should remember because I go down there a lot. I was telling Sam beforehand, my sister lives there, and so I have a lot of Tampa time. But I think you might be the very first Tampa agent. Although my brother-in-law is also an EXP agent. Funny enough, I just now remembered that he's on the commercial side, and he does not get the invite to be on the show. As much as I love him, only because he does commercial, and I don't think our listeners care that much about commercial. But technically, I do know one other broker in Tampa, which is my brother-in-law, who is great. But Sam, excited to chat about you. My first question is because, this is still a relatively newish career for you, and you have built a lot of content in that, 4 years, we'll say.
Right.
And again, if everyone watching, or if you're driving, obviously don't do this, but if you're alone and you could do this, go to livingintampafl.com and just kind of take a look at the content that Sam posts. His YouTube channel's there, and you can also see some of his thumbnails, and you'll get a good idea of what he's doing. And Sam is certainly not the first agent in the country to sort of apply this strategy. However, 99, probably 0.9% of agents don't do any of this. So even though it's not maybe a brand new strategy in 2024, it is still a super effective and relevant strategy. And probably in whatever local market you're in, that probably nobody is doing this. So this is a great thing to learn. So we're super, and by the way, Sam can teach you how to do this as well, reyoutuber.com. But Sam, let's start at the beginning. Sort of what got you into real estate?
Yeah. So the 10 years prior to getting into real estate, I worked for a big nonprofit in Colorado and did anything you can imagine for them. But I kind of became known as the guy that wants to build something new, scale it, and then move on. I wasn't really the manager type, more of a builder. And so I got a lot of opportunity because of that. I was also the one that would ask, like, I remember my second year I was there. I was like, can I come to the board meeting? And they're like, no. But I wanted the exposure. I'm like, I want to go in the deep end to see what it's like. And I've just always been that kind of person that asks for opportunities. I started helping them acquire some real estate and realized, I think I want to do real estate next. And just kind of always knew that was next. Then during the pandemic, all kinds of transitions were happening with all kinds of employers, and had a chance to just make the move. And we took the jump.
Wow. How do you enjoy Florida? I know Florida is such a such a interesting place because, of course, right now it's probably not the best time to be right now. By the way, where it's August 6th at the time of recording this, so probably not the easiest time to be in Tampa because of course, the weather and it's tough. But the rest of the year, amazing. Summertime can be tricky, but are you
Right.
getting used to the humidity and the heat, or not quite yet?
Yeah, I'm pretty used to it. I like it. You adapt to sweating. I just have extra clothes in my truck all the time.
Yeah,
I just know if I do 3 clients in a row, I'm gonna have to change clothes, at least
yeah.
shirt, because I'm starting to have some fumes.
Well, we're in Chicago, and yesterday the humidity was almost 90%. And even though it wasn't super warm, I was like 78
Yeah.
degrees, which it felt like 90 degrees, and I was sweating within minutes of just walking around. So I get that every time I go to Florida. I asked my sister once, like, when do you get used to the humidity? And she's like, you never get used to it. You just learn how to cope with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You just stop complaining about it as
right,
much.
because
But
you
also,
can't.
last year I think was kind of like my initiation year to Florida. I had a car accident and I had a house
Oh,
flood.
oh.
So I think I'm past that stuff now. Hopefully, I still own that house. I have renters in there, and the water yesterday was 5 feet from the front porch.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, my sister, yeah, my sister's okay. We checked and there was
good.
obviously the big storm.
Yeah,
So yeah, glad that it didn't come in. And
yeah,
there aren't basements there aren't a lot of basements in Florida. So when it comes in, it comes in. And
it does.
yeah, well, sorry you had to deal with that.
That's okay.
Yeah, last year. Well,
I made content about it.
of course, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that. And
Yeah.
let's dive into that. So when I see content from realtors and when I see most video content, the majority of the video content I see is on social media. So we're
Mhm.
talking about reels, stories, and we're talking Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, even maybe LinkedIn, and YouTube, maybe some shorts, things like that. But most agents really aren't utilizing much of YouTube. Maybe they upload a video once in a while, but there isn't really a strategy there.
Right.
They tend to have strategies around short form video on social media. But what I love is that you took this awful thing about getting having your house flood and realizing that, oh, this happens to other people too. Maybe it's a
Right.
good idea to share sort of my experience. So can you talk about your business, because you do things a lot differently? I mean, as a realtor, obviously you do things similarly in that
Right.
way,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in your marketing, it's really very different.
Yeah, my business coach has this analogy I really like. He says Marilyn Manson and Taylor Swift are very similar.
Yeah.
They couldn't be more different, but they do all the same things. They write
Yes.
songs, they record songs, they promote them, they sell tickets. Like it's all kind of the same stuff, even though the packaging's very different. My
Yeah.
business is YouTube. That's mostly what I do in the business at this point is make YouTube videos and build out processes for our clients to come through. But it's videos that are being searched for already.
Right.
And that's the biggest difference, something you were saying about other platforms. People are going onto YouTube, not just your grandparents, but you, every listener is searched for something to learn on YouTube. A
It's
lot
the
of
it's the second biggest search engine behind Google, and
exactly.
so we don't think of social media as much that way. Obviously, you can search on Instagram and TikTok, I guess, but you're really just passive. Most of the time, you're probably just passively getting whatever they send to you. Whereas on YouTube, yes, you can get that passive stuff too, but that search engine is so it's bigger than YouTube search, or sorry, bigger than Yahoo, bigger than Bing.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
literally huge.
And that was the approach from the beginning. Hey, I'm going to play this, figure out this game and play this game, not tell anybody I'm doing it, not send this link to anybody. And I published my first video the next day. It had 23 views. And I was like, wow, 23 strangers found my video. I did it. Like that's what it felt like. That
Yeah.
dopamine hit of those first views. I'm like, I'm publishing 3 videos a week now. Like I'm going fast. I didn't have any clients yet. I wasn't busy. Like let's go for it. And then it's very topical things. It's like somebody's moving across the country. What are they going to search for? What does it cost to live there? Where are the best schools? Then they're going to get more and more narrow as they go. Best suburbs around Tampa, best neighborhoods in Wesley Chapel. Like they're going to get more and more narrow,
Hmm.
but it starts really broad. The top of the funnel starts really broad and it gets more and more narrow.
And you can get as as niche as you'd like, because anyone moving into any neighborhood might be searching for maybe best restaurants in XYZ neighborhood, or it could even be sort of non or real estate adjacent kind of stuff. It might just be useful, information. Like you said, schools, could be, retailers, could be restaurants, could
Right.
be, parks. It could be really anything. Because I know, like, when I moved into my most current condo and it was in a new neighborhood that I hadn't, a neighborhood that was new to me, I didn't even know where the closest park was. And one day I'm like, I was just about to close on, I go, I'm kind of curious where the closest park is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I Googled it, or actually I went to YouTube and I said, I actually did it on YouTube because I wanted to see what the parks looks like. So somebody had made a video, said, here are the parks, in Wicker Park. And so this is such a great idea, because of course people search. I know when I go on vacation, my dad and I went on a trip to Ireland several years ago. And what we did, we, traveled all over the country. And the night before we would, the night before the next day, for our itinerary that following day, we went on YouTube. We said, what are the most interesting things to do in XYZ city?
Yeah.
And that's how we knew what to do. And so what you're talking about is exactly sort of what we did on vacation. And when I moved into my condo here in Chicago, I was like, okay, show me the cool restaurants, where are the best parks, things like that. So I love this.
Yeah. And then answering the specific questions that your clients already ask. Is there a Trader Joe's nearby? How far is it from the airport? How far is it from the beach? How far is it from downtown? Like actually just answering the question, showing the map, traffic's going to be bad at this time. Be careful. Like that like hyper local kind of data people really, really want and really search for.
Oh, I have an idea for you if you haven't already done this.
Sure.
Because I don't know if this is in all Florida. I know it's in Tampa. Some of the intersections have 6-minute lights, and I know that's a big thing in Tampa. And it's weird if you're not used to it and nobody's told you. You're like, is there something wrong with these lights? So like that could be a video. Is like, get ready for 6-minute lights at certain intersections.
Well, and if you live in that specific zip code, your car insurance is going to be double everybody else's too.
Is that right?
That's why those lights are so long, is because it slows down traffic so much more.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Those little quirks. Yeah.
But again, like I remember when somebody said to me, I go, Dana, what's my sister, like, why are the lights so long? She's like, it's a traffic thing. And I go, yeah, but that's a really unique solution. I'm like, I got to look that up. And I never
don't think
did.
It's the right solution.
Well, it's certainly not fun to sit in, but
No.
it is something people who are moving to Tampa should probably know. So, what's so cool about what you're doing is the content is it's somewhat unlimited in sense, because anytime a client who is moving to Tampa that you're working with, you can just catalog all the questions they ask you, and those could all be videos.
Yeah. Right. Or it's one video where I'm telling a story of them. Hey, this family came and they needed these 3 things. If you're like them, give me a call and let's get into these things. Like the call to action is even just built into there. And that call to action is what a lot of people miss in their content in general. Like, no, tell them to call you. Tell them you want them to call and you're going to answer, and you have an awesome process and you want to help more clients, like all that.
I love that. Let's talk about the production of videos, because I think we've made a pretty simple and strong case that people search for specific questions on YouTube, and you can make content around that. But a lot of our listeners are going to feel a little intimidated, with, gosh, I'm not a post-production person. I don't have a camera crew. I don't know how to edit. Right. So curious about sort of what that learning curve was, if you're doing it, if you're having other people do it, and sort of any suggestions you have for people that are starting this process.
Sure. I started it with my phone. There was not much of a learning curve for me there, though, because I had some experience with video production, had traveled in some other countries and shot some documentaries. So that part wasn't intimidating to me. It is for a lot of people. But starting with your phone, adjusting your settings to kind of be optimized for that, which I'd love to show anybody exactly what to do for that. And doing it like that, it's very approachable. People are not upset that you're using a phone.
Right.
You can make it look great, especially if you're outside in a recognizable Tampa looking place or wherever your city is. Like, your phone can do a great job. When it comes to editing, somebody asked me recently, hey, I'm looking at hiring an editor, but I want to edit my videos for a while so I know if I'm hiring a good editor. I'm like, first of all, don't do that. Just hire an editor. Because if your aunt came to you and said, hey, I want to sell my house, but I want to get my license and I want to sell a few houses first before I choose a listing agent. You would say, no, don't do that. It's the same kind of thing.
I love that. That's really really smart. So this idea, and also too, I was listening to Mr. Beast. If for our listeners, anyone who doesn't know, Mr. Beast is the number one YouTuber. I think he's number one as
Yeah.
far as most lists do. He puts out a video and gets like 90 million views within a few days. It's incredible. And I was reading a book that his coach wrote about, sort of, it talked a lot about his process, and he said Mr. Beast does a little blurb in the book, and he's like, your first 100 videos are going to be garbage. And he's like, you just don't worry about it. It's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead and push them out anyway, because you're going to get better. And every single video, you're going to get just a little bit better. And once you get above 100 videos, which sounds like a lot, maybe it won't take 100, but whatever that number is,
Yeah.
like the first 100 episodes I did of this show were probably garbage. So I can understand that process, but not having the expectation, like you were saying, that it has to be perfect. People really just care about content more than they care
do.
about production, right?
And YouTube, above other platforms, is very forgiving. People are subscribing and along for the journey to see you grow. Now, you're going to have, when I look back at my first videos and they still get views, so I'm not taking them down. But what I was saying was so like basic and simple and surface. Now, when I tell a story, it's a little more dynamic. It has some layers to it. Like, I have more clients to tell stories about. Like, it evolves and people are there for it.
Yeah. And so your first video got 23 views the first night, which is, again, amazing that somehow people found that you weren't promoting it. And then sort of how did it grow from there? And again, I want to make a point before we do this, is that I've had over the years, I've had a few other people who do have a similar process to Sam. And by the way, Sam will teach you exactly how to do this. REYouTuber.com is where you go to learn. Sam has a course. It's amazing. He's going to show you exactly everything he knows. And when I've had a few other people who have done this over the years, I don't think I've had anybody who does it this year. So I'm glad to have Sam on today. And one of the things that they have mentioned is that these videos, one thing that how they're different from social media, and of course, this just may not occur to our listeners. Of course, Sam knows it, is the content lives forever. He talked about it. My first videos are still up there. Why? Because they still get views. They still are relevant for people who are searching. Now, social media stuff is pretty digestible and then forgotten. It's disposable for the most part. It's really hard to have anything, really take hold on social media. But I want to say that, when you look at Sam's videos, he's getting lots of views, but he's not getting Mr. Beast numbers, and he doesn't need to. Yeah. He totally doesn't need to. If you even get 1,000 views, and I know usually your videos do way more than 1,000, but even if you got 1,000, I'm curious, do you happen to have an idea of how many views for you it takes on average to like get a lead? Now, I don't know if you have that number in mind, but I'm just out of curiosity. It's probably not a super high number of views.
No, it's probably 100. It's actually,
that's amazing,
lower than people think. And I think there's actually a problem whenever your video becomes too big. A video that has 50,000 views, you seem unreachable. You seem less local, like all those kind of things that you do want to feel.
Yeah.
There's really a sweet spot. I think about 5,000 subscribers and about 1,200 views a video is like a sweet spot to be in.
You're still a regular guy that's doing well, I guess, is maybe the way that people see it. Is like, oh, I could probably talk. Like I can't get Mr. Beast on the phone. He's not going to take my call, but I might be able to get Sam. And the reality of it is Sam wants my business anyway, right? That's the money is, of course, in the transaction. Speaking of money, when you're talking about cost of producing these videos, do you spend a lot of money to make them, or are they relatively inexpensive?
So I said hire an editor somewhere else. My editor is in India, and she's growing an agency. I refer people to her all the time. She's great. She sent me a cold email. I was already doing it, editing it myself, and I pay her $150 a video. She's good on style, good on timelines. Like we keep it rolling.
That seems very reasonable for a video.
My lender pays for it too.
Even better. So Sam just said something really, really important is, of course, you can have strategic partnerships with other providers. And this is where you hit up your lender, especially, and maybe a title company or maybe a whatever. And you say, hey, maybe I can, and I don't know if you have a way that you promote their services on those videos, or however the situations, or you just give them your business. But you can work out an arrangement so that they cover that cost, or some of the cost at least.
Right. Yeah. Who else could gain from a buyer? Typically a lender. Who
Yeah.
else could gain from a seller? Typically a title company. So
Mhm.
there's great ways to leverage those relationships.
And lenders and title companies have deep, deep pockets. For anyone who doesn't already know that, title companies are the forgotten sort of
Yeah.
partner. So definitely reach out to them. You can also do estate planning attorneys. There's divorce attorneys. There's
Right.
financial advisors. There's insurance agents. A million different sort of adjunct kind of professions that feed into what we do in real estate. So I
And then
love
once
that.
you build enough of a brand and enough reputation, like we have a new title company we're partnering with, and they're like, here's your budget. We're like, what kind of reporting do you guys want? They're like, we trust you guys. Like, let's try something. Like, okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll know if they're getting business from you or not.
Yeah. They're
And
like, let's try it for 6 months. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
great.
and title companies make I don't know what it might probably change from state to state, but here in Illinois, they make thousands and thousands of dollars on even just one transaction.
Yeah.
Again, that may not be the same in every market, but it is big money here, and that's where you can hit them up. So I love that. So you
Let me
have
go back to something you said about the content being evergreen, because I like this analogy I've been working on. You go into a library and it's full of books that stay there. They're useful to people all the time. At the entry to the library, there's something else. It's a newspaper stand. Those change every day.
yeah,
They're topical, they're trying to be catchy. If it bleeds, it reads.
right.
That's the clicky social media right there in the front. I'm trying to build the library. I don't care about the newspaper.
You don't want to put a new newspaper every day on one of those big wooden sticks and hang it on
No.
the no, of course not. And that's a really great point, because people also go to the library or YouTube to learn about how to fix their dishwasher. How
Yes.
to that I've got, my girlfriend had a leak in her dishwasher was leaking, and she goes, I probably should figure out what's going on. And I said, just go to YouTube. There's, put in your like type of dishwasher you have, and just say common issues or leaks or whatever. She
Mhm.
figured it. She found a video within a minute, and
Of
then
course.
it solved her problem.
Yeah.
And that
And
video will live forever. Yeah.
and that video probably had 120 views or something, but
Yep.
everybody that watched it found some value in it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. So you do 3 videos a week. Let's talk about shooting the videos. So
Yeah.
do you still use your phone, or do you have different equipment at this point?
I'm way in like overkill on that kind of stuff. Um, I would make certain recommendations. Like I would recommend either sticking with a phone and adding a microphone, or upgrading to like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's really
That's like
popular for
a
reels.
gimbal,
Yeah,
correct?
a little gimbal camera, and the creator combo comes with a microphone. It's like you could do everything with that. You
And
don't
so
even need a drone. Like people prefer drive-by footage over drone footage anyway.
yeah, yeah. Drone footage is yeah, it can be very cool if done perfectly, but yeah, I think that I much prefer to see drive by it, and your stats also verify that the drive by stuff. So what a gimbal is, everyone, is just basically a pivoting system that you can hold that keeps your camera or your phone stable, so you can move around and it's not jiggling around or making
Yeah.
people sick to their stomach. So it's reasonably inexpensive, the one you're talking about. Like maybe it's $150 at most. It's probably less than that, but it's great because you just basically can hold it and it'll keep it stabilized for you.
Yeah, that's the one that you would use your phone with. If you get the one with the built-in camera and the creator combo, I think it's around 800, but
And that's, oh yeah, because that
you would
give you the
never need
device.
anything else.
Gotcha.
Like you'd be set with that. But so I don't do 3 videos a week anymore. I started with that, then I went down to 2 a week, and I did that for 3 years. Now I do 1 a week, and I do more comprehensive videos.
Longer form video.
Correct. So they're typically, I mean, they're always over 8 minutes, but they're typically over 15 minutes.
Wow. So let's talk about length, because video length, because there's lots of misconceptions about, how long a video should be. It should be under 2 minutes, or it should be longer. And what's been your experience? Because you have to look at the metrics. You have to look at when people are, when are they signing off the video? When are they leaving the video? Are they leaving it at 2 minutes? Obviously not. If you're making these longer form videos, should people be concerned, as long as content is really strong, should they be concerned about how going too long?
No, they should not be concerned about going too long. They should be concerned about, is the content actually good enough to be this long? And that's the real question. That's where you keep people engaged. So my average view duration percentage is around 45%.
Got it.
So most of the audience drops off by then. And people want that to be over 40%.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's the sweet spot, is you want to get, and I want to talk about the pitch real quick, because you talked about asking for the business, but if most of the people are dropping off midpoint, are you putting the pitch in along the way, or are you saving it to the end, or just, because you do say there's a call to action. Where do you sort of insert that?
Beginning, middle, and end.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And people take it too seriously. So I break it down into 3 elements. Number 1, ask for them to call. Like, tell them who you are, have some kind of value proposition. I always say, this is the I'm Sam with the Living in Tampa channel. We make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to Tampa. We're also a team of realtors, and we want you to call us. So call, text, or email anytime. It's actually us that answers. And then the final part of this is I say what will happen next. After you reach out, we'll schedule a Zoom call or a phone call and just process your situation and see how we can best help. Once I started adding that last part, people would start texting and saying, send me the link to set up a Zoom call with Sam.
Yeah, so Sam did something very elegant and could be easy to miss, is he presupposed in his statement that they were going to take that next step. He said, hey, when you do this, here's what's going to happen next. He didn't say if you do this, he said when you do this, because that presupposition there is that they're going to do it. So that had an impact.
And then at the end, I say, if you got value out of this, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to hear from you. Whether you want to buy or sell right now or 2 years from now, give us a call.
Yeah, because if they watched all the way through, they must have liked it. And they go, hey, this guy knows at least a little bit. I stayed 15 minutes on a video. You're not going to do that if you don't appreciate the content. And now, you want to hit them at the end. Also, I do that too at the end of our show, because we get a drop off percentage as well, like any podcast. And I always say to the end, if you made it to the end, like we love you, please tell everybody about us, which is our call to action. But in fact, I'll say it now. Please tell everyone about us. Okay, that's the end of my pitch. But tell everyone about Sam too. If you know other agents that I'm telling you guys, this is I truly believe. I'll give you a personal example. So I'm a recruiter for realtors. The biggest mistake I've made over the 14 years I've been recruiting agents, and we have almost 800 agents, and I'm very proud of that. But we should have like 2,000 agents by now. And the reason why we don't, maybe it's because I'm not a very good recruiter, but it could also be because, and I believe this to be true, is I don't have a lot of video content for what realtors are looking for, specifically around maybe choosing a brokerage, or maybe learning what different brokerages offer, or maybe just tips. Here's a good realtor tip of the day. Or here's, whatever. I don't have a lot of that content. So people have to seek me out, which is not always the easiest thing, because there's hundreds of real estate firms here in Chicago. There's 46,000 realtors in the area. So one of the things, my big initiative, is basically to do exactly what Sam is talking about, which is to create longer form content on YouTube, specifically answering questions realtors. We call them brokers here in Illinois. So if I said brokers, I want to make sure, to us, that's a realtor in Illinois. So I know it's not that way in every state, but I want to answer the questions realtors have. And guess what? Nobody's making that content here locally. And so if you're looking to increase the number of teammates that you have, if you're on a team, this is a way, or could be a way to do it as well. But I get really excited about this, because I think it's just such there's so much untapped potential. And I'm also curious too if you ever take your videos, your long form YouTube videos, and then chop them up into short form bites that you could then send out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, these sort of more short form magic moments of the 15-minute, video.
No, I don't. I'm playing one game with those videos, and I don't want to pretend like it's repackaged. It's as valuable.
Got it.
Also, the people that follow me personally on Instagram are friends and family and realtors. They're not people that are trying to move to Tampa typically that are following me there. So
Right.
I want to engage with that audience a little bit differently.
That makes a lot of sense. So I want to just reiterate what Sam said because he said something very, very important. He goes, hey, my social media people who follow me, they're really people who already know me. And yet there's nothing wrong with showing them some of my content, but it's really not for them. It's for the people that don't yet know me. And YouTube's going to be the place where they're going to most easily find that. So I'm going to focus all my energy in one channel. And also too, so sticking to YouTube probably helps you focus a lot better. Like I know we push this podcast out to all the major channels, and it makes sense to do that because it's not really difficult for us to do that. But if you were to say, hey, DJ, how often are you on TikTok answering fan requests? I'm like, never. So that's probably not good because somebody writes a comment on one of my videos and I don't even respond, right? So
Sure.
it does make sense to hyper focus in one area. I would say go where your customers are. For Sam's customers, they're going to YouTube for
Right.
learning about Tampa.
I want to go back and button one other thing up too. You asked about kind of the production process. A lot of people get behind in this because they don't have videos ready. I have
Yeah.
like videos in different stages all the time. From random ideas I've jotted down to like I started to like write a bit of the outline to the outline's ready to go to it's like shot already. So having ideas in the pipeline that are ready to go to where I go to shoot I'm running early for an appointment. I'm in this suburb. Let's set up the camera real quick. Let's shoot this video. Oh, I could shoot a broader video about suburbs too while I'm here. And if those are ready, then I'm just like looking at the outline and going for it.
Are you writing like each word of your script, or is it just a general outline and then you sort of just, instinctively know what to say?
Yeah, it's very, very rough. Sometimes I'll write down 5 words. I've never written a script. I've never read from a teleprompter. I want this to feel very unscripted. I want to
Yeah.
have the moments where I'm like looking off and like thinking of what I was going to say. And I want all that. I want all that to happen on camera because all that also lets people get to know you.
And they know that you're a real person and you're
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
reading from a script. And we all know that when it's very hard to read from a teleprompter and sound natural, just is.
It is.
Um, it's difficult. So really, you've got a rough. You've got questions you want to. Those are going to be the titles of your videos. These are the answers to the questions that
Right.
people are asking. You have a rough outline of like, okay, there's like 3 or 4 ideas I want to maybe tackle within this video, and then you just talk,
Right.
and then the editing process. Now, I know you have a woman helping you overseas. Are you doing a lot of quick edits? I know that's a real common, popular style. Are you doing more longer form edits where you just kind of go and you're not cutting every few seconds?
It depends. In the beginning, it was like it was getting cut every few seconds because I was saying or pausing or things like that, trying to think of what I was going to say. It's a lot more fluid now, where there's a cut every 30 seconds, kind of a thing, because you want to let that story kind of come out
Yeah.
naturally. And my editor kind of understands the style, and we use like Frame.io to review those videos, and you can leave comments on very specific time codes and I, explain all of that in detail. That takes time with an editor. People get one video done and they're like, my editor didn't do it the way I want. Like, well, you probably didn't give them enough instructions, but also tell them how to do the next one. Go ahead and publish that one. Tell them how you want to do the next one.
Yeah. Have you ever been surprised at the number of leads that have come in from a video that you thought, I don't know if anyone's really going to pay too much attention to this? I guess the reason I'm asking this is we have these ideas that we think are the idea. We're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I got it. This is going to be the one that gets me all my leads. I can't wait to do it. And then we can get very disappointed. Like I've done that on this show. I used to have Zillow come on every month as corporate Zillow. And I sort of I like Zillow, so I'm not Zillow's the worst evil company ever, but there are a
Yeah.
lot of agents that don't like Zillow, and I was like, this is good. And, oh, I also had Facebook coming on every month to talk about what they offer to realtors, like literally, Menlo Park Facebook was on my show. I was like, this is gonna skyrocket my success. I got Facebook, I got Zillow,
Yeah.
and people didn't really care. They only really cared when I talked to people like you and said, how do you do this? And I was like, oh,
Right.
okay. Well, so has that ever happened where you put a video together and it either exceeds your expectations or just doesn't?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to answer Jake's question in the YouTube comments. The topic we're talking about is YouTube for real estate. And the video that really surprised me with the feedback was I moved to a bigger house on an acre. And I'm like, I want more clients that want to buy a house like this because it's kind of fun to shop for. And so I was like, what it's like to live on an acre around Tampa.
Love it.
And people, I mean, we've closed 5 deals from that video
Wow.
in the past 3 months. And people are like, I saw that video about living on an acre around Tampa. I didn't even know that was possible. And they're moving from St. Petersburg. They just want more space. It's like, okay, great.
I love that. And
But
then and so with Tampa, what people who maybe aren't familiar with the Tampa area is you have St. Petersburg nearby, you have Clearwater nearby. There's a bunch of really desirable kind of fun
right.
areas that
Yeah.
are adjacent to Tampa. Are you branching out into those areas as well? Because I guess you would have to assume that you're willing to drive there to do deals, or maybe find a partner that you could work with in those areas. But are you trying to keep it really narrow so that you're not driving? You have 3 kids, you're busy. What's sort of the thought process with where you're doing these?
Yeah. So pretty early in the business, I found a partner that didn't have kids and that had ambition so that he could drive to those places. And it's been a great growth journey through that. But we work about a 40-mile radius all around. Like
Yeah.
when people are moving here from across the country, Tampa is this big.
Yeah.
To your sister that lives in South Tampa, Tampa's this big.
I only know South Tampa. I don't
Yeah.
know anything outside of South Tampa.
I go to South Tampa like maybe 4 times a year. Like not every so I realize like locals really view these areas so small.
Yeah.
And I being an outsider, I can tell that story from an outsider perspective.
Yeah.
The locals talk about it like this, but it's actually like this. Like that is something I really tapped into in my videos. Like, let me be you. Because I was you. 4 years ago, I moved here from across the country, and all these things surprised me.
Are you, as far as just metrics, as far as people want to know how many leads, and you don't have to share with us, all of your metrics, but are we talking about, are leads being generated on every week, every month? Sort of how do you think about, tracking the success of a video?
Yeah, I don't track it per video. I just look at the year, look at the volume. But let's talk about the actual numbers. So I started January 2021, first video. That year, that April, I closed the first deal from YouTube.
Wow.
And I closed 13 deals from YouTube that year.
That's amazing.
The next year, we closed 25 deals from YouTube. So that's 2022. 2023, we closed 44 deals from YouTube. And this year, we've closed about 35 so far.
Wow. And you have about almost half the year left. So that is,
right.
You are definitely exceeding.
And we have other lead sources now in the business. We're doing some cold outbound stuff. We have a little bit more reputation to leverage to get listings. And it just keeps growing. But also the price points have grown a lot. As I've become more recognized as a brand in that space, people don't just call about a $300,000 house. They call about a $3 million house too.
Really? That's amazing. And did you make a specific sort of intention to start trying to relate to those higher net worth individuals?
I did. And I had a few reach out and I was like, how do I find more people like you? I wear t-shirts.
Smart. The best question you could ever ask a client that you want to duplicate.
Yes.
I need to find more people like you. If you were me, how might you do that?
I'm like, I like you. You like me. How do I find more people like you? People love that question.
It's great. It's like the most flattering thing you could say to somebody.
Yeah. He's like, I liked that you were chill, that you were wearing a t-shirt in your videos, that you're obviously doing it yourself. You're hustling. And this one guy, he was like, I don't know if you'll find a lot more people with my net worth. Like, okay, never mind. So then I started just talking more about those high dollar areas, not apologizing about them being what they cost. They cost what they cost.
Right.
You either want it or not, and it's not up to me to make some kind of judgment about that. It's expensive or it's cheap or it's whatever.
Yeah, and also too, like even though I might buy at home at a certain price point, what I can afford, I still like to look at some of these more luxury homes. I mean, look, HGTV has made a lot of money off of previewing, really expensive homes. So even though people may not, be in that particular market, maybe they'll share it with somebody they know who is in that price point or who's thinking of moving, or hey, this is in my neighborhood. Check out this house. Or
Yeah.
I have a question about getting people reaching out to you maybe outside of the Tampa area, even though your videos are really hyper local, specific to Tampa. Does it ever happen where someone's like, I'm in Montana and or somewhere else, and they're like, "You're really great, but can you help me find someone?" Or does that ever happen?
Yeah, usually with an existing client, maybe they need to sell where they are. We can help them find a listing agent. Or I was helping a client's daughter yesterday. She's buying a house in Ohio, helped her find an agent. And I'm not so concerned about getting referrals on that. I'm
Right.
I'm concerned about getting raving fans
Yeah.
that leave. I'm going to call Lisa later today and say, "Hey, can you leave a review saying I also helped your daughter in Ohio when I didn't have to?" And she'll love to leave that review.
I love that. So it's also an opportunity to create some partnerships with agents in feeder areas. People, I'm
Right.
sure you probably have a better sense now of where people who move to Tampa might be moving from,
Right.
whether it's retirees moving down there, whether it's people from I don't know where people move to from Tampa. My sister moved from New York, and that was because of a job thing, but I
Yeah.
don't really know where those feeder markets are. So you probably have figured that out. Would it ever make sense to make videos about those feeder markets? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, so within the YouTube analytics, you can see where your traffic's coming from, specific states. So even just making comparative videos about those states is really valuable. Cost of living in New York versus Florida, or we have a lot of views from Illinois. Most are in New York, though. It's Florida and New York. That's where most of our views are coming from.
yeah, and that makes sense. And now Sam can make videos saying, "Hey, thinking of moving from Chicago down to Tampa. Here's everything you need to know," or from New York to Tampa, or Atlanta to Tampa, whatever. He can literally just create the question. And do you
Yeah.
ever look up before you make a video? Are you also checking to see how many people are searching for that particular phrase prior to making a video?
A little bit. In the beginning, you rely on those tools a lot. After a while, like I make very straightforward titles and thumbnails. Like I'm not playing like a clickbait game.
Right.
I'm playing like, hey, this is what this video is about. Like you either want it or not, and I'm okay with that. So I don't play the game as much as I used to. But in the beginning, it's really important to like look at where is the most volume, where's the most search volume, and how do I get in front of those people?
I want to just make this point. You did 45 sales in your third year.
Yeah.
That's I sort of even just kind of missed the importance of that as you said it. It didn't hit me. And I just realized just how amazing that really truly is. We have 800 agents here. I know what people do in their third year, and it's not 45 deals. It is rare for somebody to, unless their network is just insane and they just, maybe they grew up here, whatever. You didn't grow up there. You
Right.
moved there, and you, in theory, shouldn't be able to do 45 deals on your third year because people shouldn't know about you enough, and yet they do because of this YouTube. And you don't have to really, I mean, yes, you have to leave your house to shoot the videos, but ultimately these videos run 24/7.
Hmm.
Who knows? I bet you have leads that come in at 2 in the morning
Oh yeah.
sometimes. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's an interesting. Yeah. Last year was an interesting year because I kept hearing e- every realtor struggling. Sales are down, transaction counts the lowest it's been. I'm like, I don't know. Like mine doubled. I don't know what's happening. And I don't say that to brag. I'm like, I'm very thankful that I put in the work to build the thing when I did, because it's the work that leads to the opportunity. It's not like you just identify this opportunity and you're like, I'm going to get it. No, you work to have that opportunity, to have that luck per se. Like it's actually just hard work that leads to that.
And this is a marathon. Making YouTube videos is
Yeah.
certainly, yes, you can get lucky, one maybe, and go viral. Although, just assume that's never going to happen, because it doesn't need to happen. It doesn't need to happen to build to build a good business and have people reach out to you. I mean, look, we have tens of thousands of listeners for our show, and that's amazing. And we need those kind of numbers to be able to continue. But like, Sam doesn't need tens, and I mean, he probably has tens of thousands of followers, but the reality of it is, he just needs, like he said, 100 views on a video might net
Yeah.
him a lead. That's pretty doable if you have great content. And then I wanted to ask one last question about search engine optimization specifically to YouTube, and that's its own industry. How important is it to make sure you have your tags correctly, your title correct, and any other SEO, probably things within the video as well that need to sort of be a certain way? How important is it to really understand the SEO of YouTube?
It's important, but people tend to think about that a little more than they
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
They're like, I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to make sure it's 100 out of 100. I did this test once where I was uploading a video and I'm like, I'm not going to do tags. Now, I look back and call this a test. It was really just me being like, I don't know if tags work. I'm not going to do any. I got a notification a week later from YouTube saying, hey, people are really watching this video. We're going to push it to a broader audience.
Wow.
And they give you a kind of a warning because your analytics go down. Your click through rate goes down because they push it to people that aren't searching for it.
Right.
But that was the first time I did 0 tags. So I'm like, I don't think they work.
Well, I've tagged tons and tons of videos. It doesn't. I must be doing it wrong, because it doesn't seem to work on YouTube for me. Although I'm not the expert at all. But
There are multiple games in YouTube. Number one is getting it to just show up, the impression. That's your title and that's your description. Having very keyword specific things in those is very important. Next is getting people to click on it, your click through rate. That's your thumbnail. Having some kind of compelling thumbnail helps the click through rate. And then the next one is your average view duration. How engaging was your actual content? You can always change your thumbnail. You can always change your title. You can't change your content. But those are the 3 games that you kind of have to like get involved in. You don't have to be the master at them, but you have to play them.
Well, I think we've made a pretty strong case that YouTube could be a wonderful refer or lead source for agents. And look,
Yes.
I love Brian. I love this Brian Tracy webinar or seminar that I heard many, many years ago. He said a great saying that's always stuck with me is, sales solve all problems. In other words, basically leads solve all problems. And so this idea of, if you're listening right now and you are needing more leads, and I'd say that's just about all of us, but certainly
Yeah.
it is for me in what I do, recruiting agents. We have 46,000 agents. I have access to all of their information, yet I still need leads, because I need people that are going, ooh, I want to check out what you're doing. If I just cold call 46,000 agents, 99% of them are like, get lost. And I'm happy where I'm at. So this idea of getting leads is really, really important. And you talked about, hey, now you actually have some additional marketing strategies. But for the last 3 years, were you just doing YouTube? Was that your primary or only method of really generating business?
100%. Yeah. All in on that.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That is an incredible thing. One last question. Music. I just wanted to ask, and I
Yeah.
know I don't know if your editor deals with music, or if you do. Are you putting music in, and where are you getting the music?
Always. So I have a subscription to Epidemic Sound,
Yeah.
and it learns kind of the things you like. And that's what I recommend to people. Like, actually just choose the music you like.
Yeah.
Put it in there, because it is going to become a little bit more of a personal brand as you go. My editor just has the login. She picks it. I don't even think about it when I review the video. I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, ultimately you got to have it, but it's really about the content, and people, they don't remember the music anyway, right? They just remember.
No, and mine's mostly like for this little catchy intro we do with like some cool footage of the area and the logo and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Well, let's talk about reYouTuber.com and the course that you offer.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure we've got a lot of people out there that would love to learn how to get 45 leads, 45 closed sales in a year, all from YouTube. So tell us about the course.
Yeah, so the course was just the culmination of the practice that I was taking to build this thing. I did this 3 years before I even thought about building a course, and then I was like, well, what if I could just put everything together? Started writing this outline, started I started shooting it the same day my house flooded a year ago. It was on my calendar. I'm like,
That's a tough day.
I'm gonna go ahead and start it. Like, let's just see what happens. I'm really proud of how it turned out. It's really concise. There's no fluff in it. Some of the videos, there's 80 some videos in there. Some are only 2 minutes long because it's like, hey, this is where this thing is. Go here and do it like this. But it's a culmination of everything I've learned, how I tell stories, exactly how to play in your videos. One of the sections, if somebody reaches out, I can give you a 10-day trial. And the last section in it is like a shoot with Sam section where I actually pick the topic, write out the outline, go find the place to shoot it. You see me actually like sitting down at a park bench recording the video. Everybody that's watched that section, their feedback is like, wow, I'm really overthinking this.
I love that. So I love that. So you get to almost see like behind the scenes kind of stuff.
100%. Then I edit the video. Then I, make the thumbnail. You get to see all of it.
So do you have somebody that travels with you to shoot some of the behind the scenes footage,
No.
or not at all?
That day I had my partner with me, so I could like do it in the car and as we're going. But I do it all myself.
Amazing.
It takes me about 3 hours a week
to make one video.
Yeah,
that's absolutely reasonable.
That's including uploading thumbnails, everything.
And let's just say it's 3 hours a week, and let's say it takes you, and I'm just making these numbers up, but let's say it takes 2 videos to get 1 lead, or maybe 3 videos even. Let's just say it takes 3 videos before you get 1 lead. That's 9 hours of work for thousands and thousands of dollars in commission. Right. I would do that all day long.
Yeah, we've closed about half as many deals as we published videos.
That's incredible. So
we published about 300 videos. We've closed around 150 deals.
So 1 out of every 2 video, essentially speaking, you're getting one closed sale out of every 2 videos. Yeah. That's a pretty good return on investment, considering $150 really to the editor, maybe, the subscription to the music things, something, and maybe a few other little tools that you use, obviously your equipment, all of that, but you buy it once, whatever. Pretty good return on investment there. You're not buying leads.
A lot of the tools people already have. Also, there's free music. There's so many other ways. If you want to do it, you'll find the way.
I wonder too, what person, and you won't probably know this, but I'm going to make a guess and you can tell me if I'm off. What percentage of people that reach out to you do not become your client? They're like, hey, I want to talk to you. I'll bet you it's less than 10%.
Oh, less than 10%.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I can tell right off the bat. They're like, I'm talking to other realtors. I'm like, okay, sure. You're probably going to choose them.
Right.
Because I'm not going to like sell you.
Right. I mean, look, you've only been there 3-4 years. Somebody comes in and like, hey, I've been here 25 years. I know everything. Yeah, maybe you lose to that person just because experience.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because 90-something% of everyone who reaches out to you is converting. That is, I need to hire you to help me with my recruiting. I think that's
I lost a buyer like that. I showed them around for a day, like $4 or $5 million houses. And they're like, we're going to go with this other guy. They told me on a Zoom call, really like sweet about it. They're like, we want to pay you for your time. I had about 10 hours of work, setting everything up, driving them all around. They sent me $5,000.
Wow.
They're just thankful for me and the value I did provide.
So it's basically a deal in a way.
Yeah, I didn't have to actually close a deal to get that.
But you did a lot. You did work and you were compensated for it. I think that's right. All right. So I want everyone to go to RE Real Estate, RE-YouTuber, RE-YouTuber.com, link in our show notes. Also, really check out Sam's client-facing website, because people don't only search on YouTube. They're also, of course, searching on Google and everywhere else. So Sam has not just a great YouTube channel, he has a great website. And notice when you look at his website, think about, who is this for? Why did he put it in the way that he did? And if you were somebody that was interested in moving to Tampa, what would you think about that website? Would that appeal to you? Take off your realtor hat, put on your buyer hat or maybe a seller hat, and go to that website, and you will see that is how he really structured it. It's not, hey, I'm Sam, I'm the greatest guy in the world, you need to hire me. Sam doesn't really do that. What he does instead is says, here's the content you need, and you're going to choose me because you're going to fall in love with my content.
Right.
And that's what's unsaid. And that's exactly what has happened. So you don't have to be the best pitch person. You literally just have to be able to give content that people want and make it in a package that is, somewhat presentable. So REYoutuber.com is where you can learn. Sam mentioned this. You might have missed it. 10 free days he's going to give you so to test it out. So please do it. I promise you this will help your business.
Yeah, to get the 10 free days, you have to send me a DM on Instagram at the Sam Caudle. Be down there in the description.
At Sam Caudle, that's Caudle. I will put a link to that in the show notes. You have to DM him and ask for the 10 free days, and he will hook you up. So go to Instagram at Sam Caudle and say, I'd like to, and let him know you found out about it on our podcast, Keeping It Real. That would
absolutely.
We would appreciate that. All right, Sam, this has been amazing. I could talk to you all day as a marketer myself, but this is a perfect time to wrap for this. We're going to have you back in the future, of course, as well.
I'd love to,
yeah. Because the cool part about online media consumption, it's always changing. So, you may be doing totally different things in 5 years because the public may have moved away from YouTube, or maybe probably not, but they may be also engaged with a different platform. So you're going to continue to evolve and go to where the customers are. And I'm super excited to continue to watch that process for you, because you're only 3 years in and you're crushing it. And you're not a salesy person. You're not you're not doing a lot of the things that maybe the other agents in your area are doing. That being said, I want everybody, REYoutuber.com, check it out. Go to Instagram, at Sam Caudle, link in the show notes. Send him a DM, ask for the 10 free days. And also do yourself a favor. If you have a website or thinking about building a website for your clients, livingintampaflorida.com is a really good one. Notice he didn't say, I sell homes in Tampa, Florida, or, Sam sells Tampa, or Sam is the greatest realtor in Tampa. He doesn't do that. He says, here's information for people who are, guess what, living in Tampa, or want to live in Tampa. So Sam, I couldn't sing your praises enough. I'm really so impressed with everything you've done. Thank you for coming on our show. I know you're busy. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm excited to find out how many deals you end up with at the end of the year, because it's going to be the biggest number you've had so far, and how exciting just to keep going. So everybody, on behalf of our audience, we thank Sam for his time. We really appreciate all the advice you've shared, and also giving our audience 10 free days is amazing. We're so thankful for that. The other thing too is, on behalf of Sam and myself, we want to thank the audience for making it to the very end. We appreciate you. You help keep our show going. Please check out our sponsors. They're the ones that pay the freight, and they have great services and products for you, as well as we only ask you to do one thing: tell a friend. Think of one other realtor in your area that maybe could use a little bit of a YouTube boost, and send them this episode. We'd appreciate it. We're on every channel you can imagine. Just have them pull up a podcast app, search for Keeping It Real, and hit that subscribe button. And also please leave us a review. That's the only other thing we could ask. Really lets us know what you think of the show, and we can continue to improve based on your feedback. So thank you for that. All right, Sam, it was a pleasure. And next time I'm in Tampa, I'm coming down. We're hanging out. I want to go on one of your shoots. I definitely want to see what it's like. That would be super fun. I'll be your cameraman. That would be a lot of fun for me. All right, Sam, I appreciate it. And we will see everybody on